Report, September the 7th. I am but a candle in this storm, threatened to be snuffed out at any moment. Every corner of this forsaken earth groans under the weight of new horrors. Our once esteemed organization, a sanctuary of knowledge and defense against abominations, now finds itself teetering on the brink of collapse. Each passing year, we are beset by a new wave of terrors we once believed we could control. I grow weary, and my options have dwindled to none. So it is with a heavy heart that I must extend an invitation to new blood. Those who are brave enough to stand against the abyss and foolish enough to bear the weight of true knowledge. Let it be known that any who join do so at great peril. The darkness is unrelenting. The price of failure is far more than death. Welcome to conjuredcraft. My name is Terran, and this is Monster Bash. Good evening, and welcome to Monster Bash, a yearly tradition started by Trent from Miscast and hosted by yours truly. Now, if you are one of the few who are uninitiated, allow me to explain. Each year, a group of artists contributes to a deck of cards. They are esoteric, occult, and downright monstrous. It is then your solemn duty to select 6 cards from the deck, and using them as inspiration, create an exquisite corpse, or monster, if you like. My cards this year were incredibly on theme. Claws, talons, articulating joints, insects, all of them elegant contributions from Jay, Alfred, and Pear. The most eye-catching card, however, if you can forgive the pun, comes from Paige. And this wasn't even the most disturbing card that she tendered. This year, however, I have been deeply influenced by Noe. The cultist in robes led me to ideas of a secret society, an order fighting against the horrors from beyond and those who worship them. But we have our cards, the stage has been set, and there is grim work to be done. Every year, as more of you join this Samhain tradition, I consider myself fortunate that I get to remind you that the cards are merely inspiration for what you want to craft. We already know how the robed cultist has influenced my project. But looking at the other cards, the combination of insect and crustacean drew me to amphipods. These are often tiny ocean-dwelling creatures with over 1,900 varieties of their species. With this taxonomical idea in mind, we needed to establish some more backstory. The Talon card reminded me of the great moa, a giant extinct bird from Aotearoa. Well, what if there was a large amphipod, a hang-up from the Cambrian explosion that's recently resurfaced or has been summoned? But that begs the question, what does this annelid do? Well, naturally, the eye coming out of the esophagus means that this is a parasitic life form, one that enters its host in a larval stage and slowly grows inside. Our final card, the articulated joint, that read to me like a ball and socket joint where the pelvis meets the femur, and that confirmed to me without a shadow of a doubt that what I needed to make was a medical specimen of some kind. To capture the ghostly, abyssal appearance that deep sea life has, I ordered some new material for me to experiment with on this project. This is my first time using translucent clay, and more specifically, this brand of clay. But it should help get the final look for this part of the project. Like any good taxidermy, we need a strong armature to hold our creature in place. After applying a thin layer of this polymer clay and baking it in the oven, I can see firsthand just how translucent it is. To my surprise, it does what it says on the box, provided that you put a thin enough layer of clay and ideally have the final color or effect you want underneath it. With more practice, I could absolutely see myself using this to make other ethereal effects on my work in the future. To quickly get some more insect-like texture and give our creature some folded up legs, I made a push mold using thermoplastic and this dragonfly toy that I had on hand. Then I can push the translucent clay into that mold once it's cooled down and attach a couple of pairs of legs onto our horrid tapeworm. I've noticed that the more you work with this clay in your hands, the more it becomes like the consistency of mounting putty. So it was pretty easy to push into the hard plastic mold, but it makes it a bit more challenging for the sculpting. It's also really important to remember that this clay is very white, and once it's baked becomes semi-transparent. That means that you need to be careful of any debris on your workstation or your hands to prevent any impurities from getting into your specimen. But otherwise, thanks to our insect card, I'm just making rolls and rolls of the mesothorax and metathorax and so on and so forth. When working on a sculpture, a valuable piece of advice that I'd like to offer to you now is to take a step back from it. Not just in a literal sense, but give your mind some space from it as well. You can change your lighting to check on your work. If you can, turn it upside down to check symmetry. Or better, take a photo of it and see if you're still satisfied with the result. Greater than all of these suggestions, get someone else to look at your work so you can have a second opinion. Like when my partner looked at mine and said that it reminded her of a braid. Now, in truth, normally I wouldn't worry too much about the shape for a project like this. As a taxidermy specimen, I could chalk up any imperfections to shoddy craftsmanship, the passage of time. Basically, I could weave it into the tale of the piece. But for the prestige of this craft, I needed our sculpture to be a very exact size. With the final details of our dry specimen sculpted, baked, and set, I made a box that would comfortably hold our creature, which I could take a mold of using alginate, a very cost-effective way to get a rough and ready casting of this infectious invertebrate. With the mold, I mixed and poured the last of my silicone to create a flexible prop of the monster, one that was exactly the right diameter to fit in a gorgeous glass bottle that I've been saving for months to use as a specimen jar. Having a small worm inside of a large glass jar, that's not very interesting as a prop, and there are lots of ways I could have done this without involving molding and casting. The method behind the madness is that by making the worm out of silicone, I can submerge it in white spirit, When you mix silicone with solvents after they've cured, they expand up to 200% of their original mass. And that means that this will look like the worm has continued to grow while it's inside of its vessel. After waiting a few days to check on the progress of this adult water-growing toy, I sealed up our monster, and now we have a completed wet specimen. The original sculpture won't go to waste, however. I'm going to put that inside of a shadow box, and with a few tweaks here and there, we'll also have a dry specimen for the Museum of Monstra Obscura. Monstra Obscura, a secret society of individuals devoted to the identification, containment, and, if necessary, extermination of creatures of the night. For generations, this order of hunters, doctors, and scientists have devoted themselves to stopping the spread of monsters. So it stands to reason, then, that the only threat powerful enough to destroy them would have to come from the inside. Literally. Thank you for joining me on this eerie tale, and for supporting not only my work, but the other members of Monster Bash. Please be sure to watch all of their videos, give praise through comments, and of course, follow for more. But until next year, I'll see you.